one rock formation that like you actually have to climb 3 sets of rocks and get up, and so the base of the bottom of the basket or the pole is probably about 6 foot up, and so by the time you're putting up to the basket, you're putting up like a 10-foot basket. And there's times because you're so close to the basket and with the wind, you can sometimes hit the chains and it'll push it right back out at you. So like an elevated basket actually makes it a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, it feels good to throw it down the hill and just watch it sail and maybe, glide. Yeah, it's but
so I plan on doing though a 9-hole pitch and putt, because most of those over there they're like 120 feet in. So you start from like 120 feet, then you go to like 95 feet, and then you go to like 80, 75 feet. Just that they're all, none of them are the same distance.
Yeah.
It's just mainly meant for practicing.
Yeah,
and
just stagger.
Yeah, I wanted it for a practice area and a kids area.
Okay. I saw this weird course, and I'm like, it's just like 4 lanes and that's it. Just it looked crazy. It looked like just a boring course.
Up there?
But it's no, it was another city south or west of here. Just there's different courses, but that was probably a practice course. What I was looking at,
more than likely,
and
that's what I wanted. And because I told them too, I was like, we get more practice baskets. I'm like, told them that there's actually supposed to be a horseshoe pit going in up there, but they're actually going to take that and turn it into a outdoor workout facility.
They're gonna try that, huh?
Yep, they already got the grant. It's already. I think they said that it's supposed to be about as big as this pavilion, maybe even a little bit bigger.
Yes, it seems horseshoes have become kind of popular.
Yeah, actually, Quail Ridge, they've actually got like a world ranking horseshoe. Like it's a legit horseshoe pit area there. And they actually, when they're not using the horseshoe pits on the inside. Our St. Charles scene, they actually throw a putting league in there for the disc golf.
Okay.
And so they'll have different, like low baskets, high baskets. They'll have stuff that you got to go around or go through, and it's just a putting league. And, they charge $10 a head or something like that. They make their money. People go in. There's prize money for having the lowest putts that day or the most made putts that day.
You're saying putts is like mini putt? The
disc golf.
Disc golf putt. Yep. Okay, because I'd say mini putt doesn't seem that popular.
No, and they do. I've seen some online. They actually do have like mini baskets, like this big, and they make minis, like mini markers.
Yeah.
And you can actually, they've got those. I've thought about doing that, but I was like, I'll just do a pitch and putt with the regular style here. That is actually going to end up, if I get the 6 baskets, that'll give me 9 baskets. I'll have 3 tee boxes per hole. So that'll give me 27 holes over there.
Yeah.
And what I want to do with that is kids league. I want to do a kids league over there. That way it's not a long course. That'll get them just throwing, learning, just the A to B shots. Let them get the putting down, because that's really where the scoring's at.
And these aren't discs that they should be trying to catch.
No,
You got to learn the difference.
And they make some like old school, like that Sonic that I showed you.
The lighter soft or whatever.
They still do have some that were like grandfathered in. That were technically considered catch disc.
Yeah.
That people would throw on the disc golf course, and so the PGA was like, PDGA was like, you know what? We've seen these a lot on the disc golf course. They fly, We'll make these PDGA approved for it.
Okay.
And so, then they started getting to a point where they're like, all right, now it's kind of getting crazy. We want to keep to like the new technology of the rims and get out of like the Frisbee flights and actually get disc. And so then they stopped.
Disc,
they said, hey,
Frisbee.
We're done making like the catch style disc. Now we want more innovative, newer technology.
I mean, I'm a little older. I grew up. The only the way I looked at Frisbee was like you catch and throw and catch back and forth, have fun with that, or with your pets. That was it for me as a child, and now.
Yeah, even for me, like I grew up, knew about golf growing up. Pretty much everybody did, but like the disc golf, I played. My uncle, he liked to play it because he was a superintendent of a AAA baseball team, the Anaheim A's,
Okay.
in Arizona.
Yeah.
And so he had a 3-field complex that he took care of. And
And
when they weren't out there practicing and playing baseball games, we would actually play golf with a baseball bat and baseball.
and you've been there, you said, in Arizona?
Yep.
That's where grass is precious.
Oh, yes.
You got to take very good care of grass.
Yes, very precious.
Yeah.
He actually, from that job, he got offered to go to the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was actually offered the superintendent job there.
Oh,
For
okay.
the actual MLB team, the
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Pirates. But he's like, nah, he's grown out West Coast for the longest time. All of our family's out there. And
Okay.
he's like, nah.
It wa-
Plus, different area as far as growing grass. He said,
Yeah.
he's not used to,
Yep.
Growing that type of grass.
Yeah.
He's like,
We're-
out here, it's.
Around these parts, we're at war against the vegetation around here. But in the desert, the Southwest desert, it's a prize.
Yeah.
The way they.
It's hard, yeah, because,
It's
like I said, I worked golf courses from 2007 till 2000, roughly 15.
Yeah.
And
okay. Yeah, and
here in the Midwest is probably one of the hardest places to grow grasses. And it's because we get really humid summers or we get really dry summers. We get really wet winters or really dry winters. We get, hurricane winds to no winds to, we get every pretty much weather type.
Yeah, keeping grass maintained doesn't seem like it would be a challenge around here. You're saying it is?
Oh, yeah.
It is a challenge?
Yep. Just because you have, like I said, with how the Midwest, with how different our climate actually changes. Like for the most part over on the West Coast,
Maybe.
They have a pretty similar, pattern as far as their weather.
You let the grass go. You ignore the grass for a week in the Southwest desert. It's dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but
Yep.
here
you got to worry about diseases.
Oh yeah.
Because of the humidity or no humidity.
The mold, I
yep,
suppose.
And that's why it's so hard around here. And like I said, we can get really harsh winters.
Yeah,
that kill our summer grasses.
Okay.
Or we don't get a harsh winter, and then the summer grass will end up taking off, and there's zoysia. Like most golf courses around here, you have zoysia fairways, bent grass greens, and then you have your Kentucky blue and your rough.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
like I said, with the different harsh winds that we can actually, or weather we can actually get, it fluctuates so much around here. Because like I said, I remember growing up when a kid, like when wintertime hit, it was snow pretty much all the time. Like we always had snow.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we'll get snow for about a week.
It
warms up, and then all of a sudden it snows for another week, and then we get a dry spell of
It's been unusually warm.
Yeah.
Like a few weeks ago.
Yep.
In the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
That's 10. I was told 10 degrees higher than what normally it is.
Because like a lot of your courses too here, if they're put back in the woods, you don't get any airflow going through there. And plus with the humidity, the greens, they'll just hold that humidity, and then with no airflow, they can't dry out, and then your greens will actually cook from the inside, so it'll kill your roots first and then go to the work its way up top. Or you could have greens that are wide open, that are getting cooked from the top down, and you could be on the same golf course that one green is just getting way too much sunlight, way too much wind, not enough water, and then you go to the next hole and it's getting too much water, not enough wind, not enough sun.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very hard to consistently grow, consistent grass around here.
Would you ever play around with a drone? Send out a drone to inspect the area?
I've never done that. Actually, a lot of the superintendents that I worked with, they'd actually stay the night on the golf courses.
Okay, all right. It's
just so that way they can get a feel of what's actually happening at night, early in the mornings. If there's a green that's struggling, they want to get out there and actually see their sprinkler heads. Is my sprinkler head actually working, or is it covering everything?
Okay.
Am I getting good wind flow through here? And there's of course I worked at the Missouri Bluffs. It was in these valleys, big old valleys, and that's what they struggled with. Was some greens would be on the top of a hill peak, and it'd get plenty of wind, plenty of sun. Not much problem. Then you'd get one that's down in the valley. Then it'd hold too much water, hold the humidity, didn't get the sun.
Yeah.
And so we actually started having to take and opening like just the middle of the woods. Like they'd have to make sure like, all right, we usually get like a north wind coming through here. We've got to clean out 40, 50 feet, 200 feet long to get a flow of wind to come through. And then,
Oh,
just stuff
you kind of designed this for the wind too?
No, I didn't design
Oh,
this.
you're talking about regular golf course. See, I get, okay, yeah.
It's like there,
that's
your
for the
average
winds.
cost of a green, like even at your low-end golf course, like even if it's a crappy golf course, to build a green, you're at least looking at $40,000 per green.
Yeah,
So
it's a
depending on the square footage of the green, you're looking at to renovate a brand new green, 45,000 plus.
Yeah, you're creating a fancy natural carpet.
Yep, and that's like some of the golf courses I worked at, they actually had its own electric hooked up out there to where they had huge like 10-foot fans. Like the fan blades themselves were about 10 foot wide, like huge, like to actually create airflow to help with, those greens that held too much moisture and fertilizing. And that's another thing too. It's like with the zoysia, it's a
that's a type of grass?
Summertime grass, yeah.
Okay.
Like normally, like in the wintertime, if you see a brown spot or like a big old brown patch, like someone's yard looks brown and dead, it's zoysia. It's just dormant.
Okay.
And so if you don't get to overseed, you have to overseed with rye, but sometimes you could waste your money because we might not get a very hot summer. And if you don't fertilize in the right time, that zoysia actually needs it. You need the hottest conditions for that zoysia. The hotter it is, the more sun it gets, the zoysia will take off. But it could end up thinning out if you have too harsh of a winter.
Yeah, the golf course needs more than one type of grass.
Yep.
Just
yeah, because like in your fairways around here, they like zoysia because the zoysia is actually a tougher grass.
Oh, okay.
So you can actually drive your golf carts on it. But like the cool season that we have out here, they keep in the rough, and that actually needs more water. It's more brittle though, and you don't want to drive your golf carts in it. And then the same with the bent grass. It's a little bit. Bent grass is actually needs less sun, needs more water. It's very finicky.
Would you mix a couple of different grasses together on the same field?
Yeah,
or
you can.
You would just to compensate for a particular.
And that's why, like with zoysia, to overseed, like to help with like a thinning out zoysia patch, you don't want to spend the money on zoysia seed because then you could put it down and then fertilize and then not take off because you don't, the temperature's not right.
Yeah.
So you would have to overseed.
But it's an insurance against the potential dry.
And so that's why people would mess around and they would overseed their zoysia fairways with rye because then if the zoysia wasn't taking off, the rye would actually fill in. But then if it got hot enough, then the zoysia would actually take off.
Yeah.
Like, Florida, their grass is Bermuda.
Bermuda grass,
Yep. And it's zoysia. It's almost like Bermuda, but the grass blades are a little bit different. But as far as like the way that, like normal cool season, roots grow straight down off of each blade. They'll have like one or two, different roots that structure. They'll go down and it grows down. With the zoysia, their roots actually grow together almost like a ground cover.
Okay.
And then the roots will actually pop grass heads off. So you have some roots that are down, but then for the most part, there's roots growing on top like Bermuda, but the zoysia is a little bit thicker than the Bermuda.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Do you try like using worms? You ever get into the worm?
No.
Is that
like
helpful?
Just usually at the golf courses too. They're putting down insecticides to get rid of.
Oh, they're okay. Just grass fertilizer. That's it. It's not a farm.
So so for the most part, that's why they say Missouri, the Midwest, like even Iowa, they get really fucking harsh winters out there too. Like anywhere here in the Midwest, it is the hardest place to grow grass. And, it's hard to keep a job too if you don't have like some type of college degree. Because like I had all the experience in the world, but I didn't have that piece of paper saying I knew what I was talking about. So, and those other guys, that's how they were able to actually keep full-time jobs I was only able to get a part-time job, so every winter I'd get laid off.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like I said, when it came to irrigation, fertilizing, spraying, you know,
Yeah,
I could do it all. But like I
you,
said, I didn't have that certificate.
Yeah,
saying, hey, you know,
for
it's certified.
You couldn't be a consultant, maybe? You couldn't ever?
I mean, I'd have to get in on that. Like, I
Maybe
could work my way up working for like
you need a license. Maybe there's
pretty much.
a particular.
And see, and that's how one of my last assistant superintendents, how he got his job was he had a license to sell, you know, agriculture stuff, you know, fertilizer, insecticide, herbicides. And that's how he learned it was he would go golf course to golf course and they'd be like, this fucking product ain't working. You know, it doesn't work for what it says. It works for this. And so he'd keep it in his head, go to the next golf course, and he'd be like, well, you know, where it is, this product doesn't work for that. It'll actually work for this. You know, what would you suggest these people, you know, use? And then they could say, oh, well, I use this product for that problem, and this seems to help me around this area. So then he, you know, kept all that knowledge of, like, what herbicides and insecticides work for certain parts of, you know, he had his own sections of, you know, what golf courses he actually sold to, and each one, for the most part, you know, was different areas, but, you know, still were in Missouri and, you know, same grass types. And for the most part, most golf courses have, like, the same type of bent grass. They have zoysia fairways, or they have bent grass tees, and, like, Kentucky blue, and, you know, there's just a specific, you know, for the most part, they're all using a general same type of grass, just trying to grow it in a different area. And then that's how he learned it, was just selling product.
All right.
And hearing what they said was shit, and what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how he learned. And then he got certified for selling that stuff. And then they're like, well, you're certified, you know what you're talking about. Why don't you try working and actually applying it on the golf course? Do you think you can do that? And then, so.
Yeah.
But like I said, eventually I'm gonna end up hopefully designing golf courses that way I can sell them my designs.
And you've never like tried to use a drone for any of that? Do you find is there any advantage to using a drone for that?
On a golf course?
Yeah, just
not really. I'd say a drone would work for probably the clubhouse more than anything.
A clubhouse?
Yeah, just so that way they could keep pace of like golfers.
They just watch the people on the
just to
green.
kind of see like, hey, what hole's actually holding people up.
All right.
Like if there's people actually fucking around, because there's a lot of people that will go out to a golf course and they'll drive off and they'll know they're going to a hot spot where everybody hits their golf ball. And they'll go out there and, you know, for 20, 30 minutes looking for golf balls. And then they just walked away with, you know, what the clubhouse could sell $30 worth of golf balls. He just walked off with that.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he might have had a 30-minute gap between that next group. And then by the time he got back out to the fairway, he's taking a shot. Now that group's waiting for him to get off the fairway. And then the group behind him is now waiting on them because they're waiting on that guy. And so
bottlenecks.
And that's how it's, you know, happens. Is
kind of like card counters at the casinos. They're
pretty much
counting. They're watching the balls in certain.
Which like I'm guilty of it too, because like working at golf course, I mainly did it like if I was mowing fairways or mowing rough and I got golfers coming through, I'd shut my mower off, run to the woods really quick, grab my Pro V's, and then
do you have your own diving suits for?
No, I wish. No? So those guys actually make a lot of money. I forgot what it actually was, but one dude did like 3 different golf courses within like 2 or 3 months, and he made like 40,000, 50,000. Just dragging the ponds for golf balls.
Dragging.
Dragging, And like, there's different ways. Like, I've seen one guy, he would take a inner tube, and he had a basket that would go in that inner tube, and he would float around with another inner tube that held his tank. So he'd just have a snorkel or tank that actually had air. He'd go down, grab his golf balls. And he'd have like a small bag, fill that up, go up top, dump it in, go back down, dump it. Then there's another way that it's like a big spool, and there's little spacers in between, golf-sized spacers.
Oh, okay.
Like a range collector.
Yeah, the little pebbles go through. It'd pick up.
And they would put a tractor on one end, and a tractor on the other end,
Yeah.
And they would just literally drag it, and then they'd move the tractor over,
Yeah.
drag that thing back again, move the tractors, and keep dragging it until they pulled out, you know, a couple hundred golf balls. And then they'd charge for so much, or they'd say, hey, you know,
Yeah.
for a small fee, let us come out and do it, but we keep the golf balls.
That's And there's,
or, you know, we'll pay you so much to give us those golf balls back.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
some of those guys, they make a lot of money doing that shit. Just,
Yeah.
diving in and getting golf balls.
Yeah. There's some nice golf courses out there that there's
Oh, yeah.
people.
Like now it's to the point too that now people are starting to get the drones on the disc golf course though for fly-throughs, flyovers, for like people who
I mean,
want to actually showcase their course. I could have somebody come through and, you know, actually have a video where the drone starts from hole 1 and like as the disc would fly to the basket, and then turn around and actually show you an aerial view of what you're throwing to, and then you go to the next hole and then show you your flight path, and that way people, you know, travelers, they could say, oh man, I want to play this course, but is this course actually worth it? Let's see if they've got a flyover of it.
Because in real estate, drones are pretty popular. They're what sells a lot of times. They can sell the properties.
Yeah, I got a buddy who he does that for realtors. He takes pictures on the inside, and then he does the drone footage of the properties and like the area surrounding it. And that's what people want to see is like, not only is the house good, but what's the rest of the neighborhood look like? Yeah,
because Google Maps can only get so close.
Yep.
You know,
and that's what they've been doing too, as far as like some of our tournaments. They've been actually doing drone footage for the course to actually showcase the course. That way, people signing up, you know, they'll have like a 3 or 4 hole preview of the course. That way, you can kind of get the hype out for the course. Like I said, some courses actually have an 18-hole flyover. That way, you know exactly, you know, every hole and, you know, kind of how it plays.
But it's not really useful for just checking for inconsistencies in the.
I mean, maybe as far as like maybe if you had a drone that actually had like thermal.
Oh, different detection
like that,
of some
to where you can actually see like.
All right.
What's a hot spot? Like, because on the greens, like for the most part, I got to the point where I was able to actually help take care of the greens. Just because I had the eye for like what's burning, what's not burning, you know, like how much water, because like there's a difference of hand showering and then hand cooling. And so like with grass, to cool grass down, you're technically not trying to give it water to drink. Like that's not what actually cools down grass blade. Yeah. It's a chemical reaction. When that water droplet actually hits the blade, it sends a signal to it. It tells itself to open up its pores, and then it'll open up itself. Like it's got its own little pores, and it's not taking in the water. It's just helping. It's telling itself, "Hey, we need to cool down now.
Yeah.
You know, I got water dropping on me." And so, like a lot of the times, like in the afternoon, I would go through it and actually just cool the greens down. And so what I would do is I'd hook up my hose, I'd get my fan setting, and I'd probably take like 4 or 5 feet of the hose down. And I'd take it and I'd just helicopter to where I was misting. Like I was just putting a cool mist in the air.
Okay.
And that way the mist would just barely hit the green, and then the grass would actually cool itself. Because then you don't want to overwater your greens in the afternoon, because if it gets too hot, and then your soil temperature will actually heat up. Yeah. And then when it goes to try to go to sleep at night, because you put too much water on it before it goes to bed, now, the soil temperature is just going to stay up because the water's holding that temperature. Okay. So you're not trying to actually get the roots. You're just trying to get the top. But then in the morning time, that's when you're trying to actually feed your roots. Okay. Let the roots actually, you know, slowly get that cool water. Let the water dissipate. Then that way in the evening time, there's not too much moisture for the roots to actually cook themselves in.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of like when the people who water their lawn will turn the spigots will turn on before it rains or while it's raining a lot of time. It's just this strange timing of.
Yeah, I had one superintendent, like it was literally raining, and I'm like, what? Should I still be watering this green? He's like, yeah. He's like, but you got to think about it. He's like, you might be getting some rain now. He's like, this green might not be even getting rain at all on the other side of the course. So he's like, we don't technically know how much water these greens are getting. He's like, even though we watered them, you know, this morning, you know, we still want to overwater some of the ridges, because those are where the water just runs right off and it can't hold any water, and that's the first spot that's actually going to dry out and die. And so I always kind of thought it was weird that, you know, like, dude, it just got done raining. Why am I going to go out and water these greens?
Yeah,
you know, explained it like you really don't know. Like, we could have gotten an inch over here and only a half inch over here. But with this hill crest, you know, it might not even have taken any water. And so then we've got like special tools too that we can actually probe the green, check the soil temperature, check the roots. We've got these deep tines that we can actually stab all the way down to puncture and actually give holes, like aerifying, to actually allow air to actually flow through.
Yep.
Then not only that, then you can actually water your green, then the water's actually go through those holes, get down to the roots better.
Yeah.
And so there's wetting agents too that it was almost like a soap, and you would water with the wetting agent, you'd spray it with it, and it almost looked like foam, like suds coming up on it, but it actually helped wash the water off the blades and actually get down to the roots.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So yeah,
I was gonna say, like, if you're using hard water, you want to make it soft or something.
Oh yeah,
and then there's wetting agents.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, they have like certain courses that have, like, if they're pulling from a lake, they're gonna have a filtration system in there to make sure that, you know, they're not putting dirty, muddy water on their greens.
Okay.
Or they've got like Winghaven Country Club. They use city water, so they actually use good, clean water.
Okay.
You know, it actually had its own softener, you know, in its pump system. That way, taking out all the chemicals.
Yeah.
Because they say that, like, there's like a certain percent of bleach in city water or whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, and so like that bleach would eventually, too much of that would end up killing the grass, and so like they got to filtrate that out. And there's a lot of money, a lot of stuff that goes into the golf courses.
Yeah, okay, you're well aware of the water and conditioning it. You ever hear of using magnets to soften water? Okay, all right. No. It's kind of an alternative thing.
No, I've never seen that. I'm sure there's golf courses that actually probably do implement something like that. Because I know, like I said, there's different scale of golf courses. Like the Winghaven, the country club I worked at. Not many places have bent grass tee boxes or fairways, and they actually have bent grass tees. And the bent grass is actually what most typical golf course greens, that's what the greens are actually made of, is bent grass. And it's very fine grass, very sensitive cool season grass. Yeah. And they are able to do their tee boxes that way, which is nice, because I mean, when you take a divot off the tee box, I mean, it's just the quality of your shot is so much better. Like I said, because of the root system of the zoysia. Yeah, it's like when you're trying to hit a club through a matted zoysia, you know, roots, that club will do whatever it wants through. Like with the bent grass, because you have, you know, fine roots growing straight down, there's no resistance.
All right, that's more desirable for the golfers.
And then you'll get actually a better putting surface, a better hitting surface. Yeah. Like zoysia fairways, they say usually you want to add 10 yards. Like if it says like, all right, I'm 172 that green, I want to play at about 180 because of the resistance of that grass.
Yeah, grass resistance.
Yeah, and then, or I could be in Kentucky blue, depending on my lie, you know, that 170 might actually want to play a 160 because I'm going to come through cleaner with that. Yeah. It's not going to be much resistance, and I'm actually might hit this ball a little bit farther because there's less resistance. So and it just that's another thing I've never considered was grass resistance. Yep. Well, actually, if you look at Augusta National, when they do the Masters, so when they mow their fairways, every fairway, they start from the green and they mow towards the tee box. Okay. They do that. Tee box. All right. That way, they're laying the grass down towards the player, So when you got a golf ball trying to go against the grain, it's just going to slow it down. So you're not going to get as much roll.
Okay.
So if you're coming the other way, if they were to mow from the tee
Yeah.
box to the green, that would mean that golf ball would just roll perfectly, and they'd actually add more distance.
Yeah.
So they strategically look at how they mow their fairways, and every fairway starts from the green, and they mow every pass towards the fairway, and in that way, like I said, that way the grass is laying down towards them. That way, the golfers aren't getting as much spin on the ball. They can't get that forward roll.
All right.
And then even when they're hitting the golf ball, now they're hitting that grass blade into that grass blade. So that's going to cause a little bit more resistance. Other than now, if I was to hit a golf ball from here, it's just going to swoop right on top of the back of that blade. You're going to get less resistance.
It may not be a huge.
Distance. Yeah, it's not a huge like.
But it's
us can tell, but those pros, they can definitely tell.
The sensitivity levels.
Yep. And so that's the crazy part about like some of the stuff that goes into golf courses that people don't typically know about.
You've never dealt with fake grass,
No.
right? That's okay.
Other than this turf, that's about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just the working with the local how the local the local grass interacts and that's a really specific. You have a specific knowledge there.
Yeah. That's my thing. Was I really enjoyed doing golf course setup instead of like mowing and like doing stuff like that. I was actually setting up the golf course for golf that day, and since I played a lot of golf, like I actually took it to heart and actually wanted to make sure that I was giving the golfers the best experience as possible and not really trying to mess them up. And there's just certain ways of like setting up, certain shots of whether I put the tee markers on the right side of the box, like for a big fade to go left to right, you want to play as far over as you can to give yourself more room to play that ball left or right. Because if you played yourself too far to the left of it, you're already too close to that tree line. So you're trying to get a little bit further away to give yourself a little bit more wiggle room. And so I was able to actually, like, with pin locations, like I knew how to put the tee markers to actually make it a challenge.
Okay.
Or like, if I really wanted to screw somebody over, I could really make it hard to where, like, all right, the pin location is over there to the left. There is a tree line here on the left side.
So you're doing.
I could put the tee box over here, and it would make them shape the shot totally different. Like it would force them to shape that shot. Or I could have made it easier, put the tee on the right side, and then it gives them that natural flight.
Yeah.
It makes it easier. And so, like as far as like setting up like where the pin locations were.
You're not using tools like the landscapers do with the laser sights.
No, only thing that I would bring out with me is my cup cutter, my bucket with sand. I'd have like a knife to help cut. Like if there was like a divot I needed to fix.
Maybe binoculars.
Change the cup. No, not much of the binoculars. But then like I would bring a tee stick with me. And it was just a stick and it had a tee on it.
Okay.
And that way, like, because if my fairway is right down that way, a lot of the times people wouldn't pay attention to how they're putting their tee markers. And if I'm going straight through these pillars, if I set myself up like this, I'm aiming this way. Like I'm setting up the golfers for failure. So I would bring that tee post just to make sure that that line was center as possible. That way, when those golfers teed up their ball in between those markers, that they were even with it and they were at least center down the fairway as best as possible.
Yeah, it would be overkill to use what those tripods that the landscapers use with their laser sights. It would be a little overkill to use. For like legit PGA tournaments, those guys will do that. They would, okay.
Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to predetermine their setup. So when they have their golf tournaments, like the PGA, big like major events, tour events, like it's usually about a month ahead of schedule. They'll have PGA officials go out. And there'll be like 4 or 5 people on the tee box, 4 or 5 people on the fairways, 4 or 5 people on the green. and they're looking for like, all right, I'm set up on my exact point where I want these guys to tee off on Friday. They'll shoot their laser. They'll make sure that, you know, once they hit that laser, okay, I'm 246 to you, and then that guy will then shoot and actually calculate his distance. That way they're giving their golfers the most precise numbers that they can for better competition. Because they don't want to be like, hey, here's your guys' player sheets. You know, you guys know where the tee markers are going to be and where the greens are going to be, but we might be 5 or 6 yards off a piece on the tee, and you know, and that 5 to 6 yards, you know, with golf, it's about inches, you know, and they want to make sure that the numbers that they're giving their golfers is as accurate as possible. Then that way the golfer can say, okay, hey, this is probably a true 195, 196. I can be within 197, 194 and be pretty accurate. As long as their number is accurate, they can be accurate.
You don't think Frisbee golf is taking away from regular golf, do you? It's the same.
If anything, it's kind of adding to it.
It bring more interest to
Yeah,
both.
just because, like I said, now golf courses are actually implementing disc golf courses.
Are you still working on regular golf courses?
No.
So you're taking
play.
You just what?
I just play.
See, you will still play though.
Yep.
But okay, yeah, you still have the same interest.
Still very, very much interested in golf, and actually, like, I've already talked to both of these courses here. I told them, like, hey, I'm like, if you guys need help with like morning setup on weekends, or you know, need somebody to come in mow fairways, I'm like, I've got almost 10 years of experience. I'm like, I can run every piece of equipment out here. I know the setups, you know.
And they're municipal golf courses?
They're not municipal. But
they're not, okay.
They're public.
Not every city has a municipal.
Not everyone has. Like St. Peter's, we have a municipal golf course there. The city of St. Peter's actually owns it. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know the difference. I don't play golf or anything.
It's just one city owned and one is just owned.
Yeah,
and, you know, one is, I guess you would say, kind of tax-free, and the other one pays taxes. So one generates revenue for the most part. All, you know, creates jobs. I mean, they all create jobs, but as far as your municipal courses, those are actual, like, you're an actual state worker. You're working for the city.
You ever see those there's big centers where they sell golf supplies, and then they have a big field that's like maybe a base. It's a diamond or something, and they just putt. The putting course, not putting, a driving course. People just a driving range. Yeah, people just make money just having this property that's just a driving range.
Now they got Top Golf.
Top Golf, yeah, that's the one. I've seen a few of them.
Yep. We just opened one like 2 or 3 years ago, or something like that.
Yeah, it's this big.
Yeah, the money that they make doing that. Yeah, just take.
Yeah, people just want to go out and just whack the ball.
We got one driving range here in town. That's why I even told my girlfriend too. I was like I think honestly, I was like, if we could buy property, I was like, I honestly wouldn't mind putting in a golf driving range. Just one where people can be not quite in town, you know, secluded, privacy, you know, kind of your blue collar.
More, yeah, maybe, yeah.
You know, more for your good old boys, because that's when I was playing golf and started.
Yeah.
The town I grew up in, like, there was maybe 5,000 people in town.
Like, yeah.
Not many at all. Like,
it's a town.
Yeah, it's a town, but, you know, nothing like the graduating class usually is about 100 or less, you know, no more than that.
Yeah.
Usually 75 to 100 people per graduating class. And, like, most of the people I played with were all construction workers, farmers.
That's too small for a driving range.
Yep, and well, they had one, but they really didn't use it.
Yeah.
And that's because, too, though, it's just the fact that it was right behind somebody's house, and, like, to them, they didn't really care to go to the driving range just because they wanted to get out on the course, drink their beer, and, you know, swing the club.
Yeah.
You know, I want something more that's, like, just middle of the woods, nowhere, practice, at a driving range, but I want to do my own private disc golf course that I could actually one day charge, you know, $2 or $3, you know, to play all day, or, you know, $5 to play all day, you know, something like that, just to help pay for the upkeep of the course, and I could throw tournaments and charge for that, you know, have fundraisers.
Yeah,
That's
private.
what we do too. Like I had 2 years ago before COVID, we did a it's called the Ho Ho Glow. We throw a glow tournament out here, and it was $10 to sign up and play. And then on top of the $10 though, you actually had to bring in either boys or girls Christmas present. You know, you had to at least spend $5 on a toy for a girl or a boy, and we donated. I think we had, what did we have? You know, some people brought like 3 or 4 toys, and so I think we ended up with like almost 100 toys. We donated all those toys to our local fire department. That was
fire department, okay.
To, you know, to the families that they know that are in need and everything
The
like
fire,
that.
yeah, I suppose.
And like we didn't even tell them either. Like I just did it. Like I told the one guy that brought all the toys up there. I'm like, they don't know you're coming. I'm like, just tell them what we did. You know, and tell them take the toys. I'm like, just, you know, give it back to the community. So and we took the other $10, and then that $10 actually went towards the prize money.
You said it's a ho ho glow.
Ho ho. Like Christmas.
Like oh ho ho, like okay.
Ho ho ho, yep.
And all right, yeah, that's
Like I said, that's the one thing I've noticed about the disc golf scene, and that's what's kept me going in with the disc golf scene is it's not about us. Like it's more about like the community.
Okay.
Like we do every
if it can lower crime, if you can,
yeah,
if it helps
right,
fight crime, right? Maybe get people off the drugs.
Yeah.
Throw frisbees, don't do drugs,
right.
type of thing.
Yeah, we had almost every club, every disc golf course that actually has a club. So every town that has a disc golf club, they do it's called the Winter Chill, and it's called the No Wimps and No Whiners tournament. You pay like $5 to play, and that money gets donated to like a food charity.
Yeah,
and then on top of it, you have to have at least 5 cans to bring in. And so like every year that they do it, we bring in more and more cans. And like, we've gotten to the point where like we are, as our club, we're donating almost 10,000 canned foods to our, you know.
That canned charity stuff is cute, but I have trouble eating out of cans.
Yeah.
I can't really eat anything out of a can.
But no, as far as you know, as contributing to and like helping and, you know, just shit like
yeah,
that.
it feels good to do that, but I mean, just maybe look at the end product, the end result.
Like I said too, a lot of them too, they'll, instead of actually buying the cans, they'll just be like, here's $500. Like, give that to them.
Okay, yeah, and there's you've probably seen those food. There's a little free libraries, but they also have the little free like pantries, and they got those maybe in a park. They could have one here. To put food in those pantries, and people just anytime go and grab a can out or something.
That actually wouldn't be a bad idea for disc golf.
Yeah, you could have it at the entrance, maybe a little free pantry or a little free library.
Like disc golf snacks or bottles of water, you know,
or a bottle of water. Yeah, there's.
Well,
So okay, good talking with you.
I'll give a blade.
All right, yeah.